of practice gets us through it, but you know, there's nothing extraordinary about it. We just get through them at to get the job done, average, whatever. Anyway, why am I not happy that I got Penetrator on the first try? Well, this is what
silently it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn, no closure, moving closer, no exposure, I just wanna be a loner.
Hey there peeps, what is going on? It's C.O.Z here, and we're back with some more Demon Souls. Now, to start off this video, I'm going to say that I wish I had died to this boss fight. Now, why the hell would I say that? As if I don't have enough deaths, both on stream and off stream, to boss fights that I decide to spend hours on my gaming sessions trying to study and figure out. Eventually, know-how and strategy and a lot of practice gets us through it. But you know, there's nothing extraordinary about it. We just get through them at to get the job done, average, whatever. Anyway, why am I not happy that I got Penetrator on the first try? Well, this is what this video will go into. So for a start, after getting through this section, which was one of the hardest sections I've probably done within Demon Souls, there's a lot of dragons here that pretty much wipe out half your health, meaning that it's really hard to actually get to this boss fight. This is a boss fight that is right after Tower Knight within the inner ward. Now, the Penetrator, before we go into it, actually reminds me of a fight inside Dark Souls 3 called the Dragon Slayer. I fought this boss when I was 16 back in my original Dark Souls 3 playthrough, and I remember I struggled with the heavy attacks until I learned the dodge timings. The Penetrator was still way easier, but when I went into the fight, I not only had a massive health bar and I had leveled up pretty much to this point in the game. I had the Uchiganta, which was really well leveled, and a long-reaching weapon, which definitely helped me, but I also had a shit ton of health. So this attempt, I can't actually share anything other than what I actually struggled with and what kind of attacks to actually look out for, because it wasn't actually a good attempt. It was a pretty tanky attempt. We literally got hit a lot and managed to tank most of his hits, and we also basically used up all our health as well. But let's dive right into the Penetrator right away, because it's basically an honest review of what this boss fight entailed. Why did it take so long? As you can see, I tried to be aggressive initially when he was whacking me with that massive sword. So he slashes back and forth, then he does one charge attack as well. So I was just trying to keep my distance. I managed to get a few slashes on him as well. On the other hand, it was taking me a long time to kind of, just kind of work out his patterns. I couldn't dodge them consistently. But as you can see, what it is basically initially, the Penetrator walks around. He's going to try get you with this chargy attack. This is where you want to roll away, roll behind, which is much better, where you get 2 comfortable hits in. When he also then does this, he raises his sword back. So as well as that charge there, you see he literally raises his sword back if you get within mid-range or close range, and then he ends up whacking and literally having it circle like a full sweep attack. That one you saw just right there, and you need to make sure that you avoid those attacks if you're trying to play a little bit more aggressive, because as you can see, I was dealing DPS to him, but I was also getting hit a lot. Had I a lower health bar, I would basically have to have perfected the dodge timings at this point. His final attack, as you can see there, is the thrust attack, where he pretty much raises his sword up and thrusts diagonally downwards. So again, we're repeating this now. He's going to slash left, he's going to slash right. That's when I'm close to him. I back away if I don't feel confident enough to take him out, and then he does that massive leaping attack too. But throughout this whole fight, my strategy, well, to get through on the first try, because I realized it was pretty hard, but I could get through the fight if I was just really, really patient, which is why this took like nearly 10 minutes to get through. And also the damage I was doing onto him for every turn, well, because I was playing really overly cautious throughout this boss fight, we didn't actually manage to get that much DPS on him. Most of it was literally just using the lock-on, studying his movesets, and I get a little bit better throughout the rest of the fight too, but I was just trying to survive throughout this one. Basically, what we were trying to do is stay mid-range in order to bait his lunging attack. This would give us ideally enough time to get 2 ample slashes into his back, onto his side. However, as you can see, I was having problems with the execution. It was going to take a little bit of practice. There we go. We rolled through it. So throughout most of this fight, you're actually going to see me just studying the Penetrator right now, because I really wanted to get him first try at this time. But the reason I said is why I was upset I didn't die to this boss fight is because I didn't actually improve. Like, okay, I maybe got down his basic narrow points and stuff, and I basically narrowed down his timing, but I was disappointed by how much health I kind of tanked through. It wasn't one of my best attempts. It was a very cheap stoppy win, I guess, but a win's a win. But this is what I'm talking about. I mean, in terms of, as we know now, a lot of my content that I put out on live streams as well, my attitude towards especially boss fights or challenges within video games, even even though I can sometimes feel pressured and it takes me a while to get the execution right, lots of practice, as I'm not the most skilled, let's say, gamer, and it does take a lot of know-how and remembering things, doing it again and again, that kind of thing. What I would say is that I have a lot of patience and endurance to when I've got, and much better when I get time to actually focus on the challenge or the section of the game that I can that I want to overcome, which they are mainly boss fights or sections or enemies, whatever it is, whatever game I play, to really absorb the information, as it's all down to accumulation of game knowledge, especially inside Demon Souls, knowing what to do, etc. Know-how, pretty much with every game really, and that's it. It's know-how that gets me through them. Well, I ain't got the first instance what to do, being not that adaptive, I would say. But regardless, everyone's got their strengths, everyone's got their weaknesses. I definitely know what mine are. Back to that point, we're now around halfway of his health, where we were still getting hit quite a bit. But what I was trying to do is essentially just stay as far. Ooh, see, that is a bad slash. Stay as far as possible from him. So I chewed through most of my moon grass or my half grass. Now he almost nearly late moon grass. He almost nearly gets me too. As you can see, our dodge timing was getting a bit better, is to roll through those slashing attacks left, right, if you're going to go up to him on close range. Otherwise, look, roll through. But I wasn't getting enough DPS in. We got 2 slashes there, and yes, you can roll as soon as he kind of whacks down his sword as well. It's about getting and rolling around him. Ooh, he took another chunk of my health out there. The shield wasn't helping either, but because this was like intense battle, I really didn't want to do anything. And you know how it is when you click a button or something, and then you end up literally being literally end up being like killed because you didn't focus. These bosses are pretty fast as well. However, it was good that the Penetrator got me through all this, because this is the kind of boss fights that came up within DS3 that I'm probably going to see, they increase speed within From Software of these bosses as well, where they got much harder throughout the other games. I mean, this is a Blue Point remake of Demon Souls, right? But we're talking about Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, and they were absolute nightmares for me. Yeah, obviously I still overcame those boss fights at some point. And pretty much almost finished at least the main base game of DS3, and pretty much platinum Bloodborne main game and Chalice dungeons. I don't know if I have the skill to go back to that. With that being said, I definitely want to try Elden Ring. So this is good practice, because not every win or every boss fight is going to have a simple know-how. Sometimes it's literally about speed, literally about learning their movesets, and that means getting their crazy narrow timings through as well. As you can see, we stayed mid-range. That is the best luck we had. So what I mean is, when he does that charge attack there, we get 2 slashes on his flank and then dodge out as soon as he starts doing those crazy close range charges. Again, he's going to do that weird lunge attack, but sometimes you've got to be really close to him and you have to get close up, because he's going to quickly guard up once more and then get straight back to his aggressive close range attacks before going in for that lunge again. But in general, a lot of the bosses within Demon Souls, if you stay mid range, you can kind of get hit a sweet spot. I don't know, it would obviously depend on your experience, and everyone has a boss that kind of that kind of gives them a hard time, or depending on the person, what they're good at, what their strengths are, etc. As you can see, I did pretty much dodge forward, dodge back. It was a tough fight. Penetrator was probably, even though I got it on my first try, one of the most difficult fights I had, because I could anticipate how difficult it could have been had I not had good stats, a lot of health to get me through it, and the dodge timing that you got to have for it. Later on, we did experience another boss fight, an end game boss fight that did give me a little bit of trouble, which was Old King Allen. But once I worked out his timings, he was still simpler than, I guess, the Penetrator, because the Penetrator has really crazy forward attacks. With that being said, as you can see, throughout the whole course of the fight, we got a little bit better. In turn, we ended up circling him and understanding that if we stayed at long range or mid range, then at least we could bait his charge attacks, where we could get in those 2 slashes. So it took a while to get through his health bar, but it does remind me a little bit of the Flame Lurker as well. So the Flame Lurker was a boss that you saw within the last video as well, which was one of the hardest bosses that I faced over my playthrough so far, because of the speed and also that crazy tank of a hitbox that he shaves through your health. So I was on a lower level, and what I did is I studied his moveset to get an idea to at least get him to half his health, and then deal with the third phase when I came back to level up a little bit later, because the Flame Lurker, even though it's a World 2 boss, it can be a pretty difficult boss, and it was it was straight after the Armored Spider. Eventually we got through the Penetrator with a lot of persistence and baiting out those charging attacks with a lot of health as well. A tough fight. But you know, a win's a win. But that's why that I wish I had died to the Penetrator in Demon's Souls. Please subscribe and thank you so much for all the amazing support so far. I hope you enjoyed that one. A little bit of a different one.